Hello and welcome to our Sunday evening newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's begin with a new development that's set to shake things up in Korean politics. Former opposition party lawmaker Ahn Cheol-soo presided over the launch of a new party this afternoon that is sure to challenge his old party in an upcoming general election in April. Our Shin Se-min is standing by at the Sejong Center in Seoul to give us the latest. Se-min?
Yes, Daniel, it's a new beginning of a new party. Now, it's a move that could also politically reshape the political landscape here in Korea. Now, Ahn Cheol-soo's new party, the People's Party, came to a close just a little over an hour ago. Its launching ceremony with some 2,000 supporters and promoters in attendance. Now, during the ceremony, Ahn promised to create a new politics by the people and for the people as he vowed a change of government. 7 lawmakers who left the main opposition party after Ahn walked away last month were also at the launch today, including Kim Han-gil, a political heavyweight who co-chaired the opposition party with Ahn and who also walked away in frustration with the current party leadership.
Well, can you give us the numbers that definitely proves the meteoric rise of Ahn's new party, certainly dealing a blow to his former party that disappointed him?
That's right. The new party has gained a lot of attention, and since Ahn Cheol-soo left his former party, the main opposition party, the Minju Party of Korea, with raising questions whether his new party will gain enough strength to replace the current main opposition. Now, a recent local political poll backs up that sentiment, with Ahn's new party winning an approval rating of 42%, far outpacing the main opposition with just 29% of support. And Ahn Cheol-soo's People's Party is expected to take shape quickly ahead of the April's general elections. Now, the party's preparatory committee is co-chaired by Yoon Yo-jun, a former environment minister, and Han Sang-jin, a professor at Seoul National University. The new party will hold conventions in 5 cities and provinces, starting with Seoul on January 21st, followed by an inauguration ceremony in early February. Now, that's all I have for now, but I'll bring you more details in our later newscast. Daniel?
Thank you for that, Semin. A most promising beginning there. Turning to heightened defense posture resulting from North Korea's 4th nuclear test, the U.S. deployed a B-52 strategic bomber over the Korean Peninsula on Sunday to show it is well prepared for any additional provocations from the north. Our Defense Ministry correspondent Kim Hyun-bin is at the Ministry of National Defense in Seoul to give us more details. Hyun-bin, the stranded fortress soaring above the skies in Korea, quite a sight.
That's right, Daniel. Well, the B-52 left its home base in Guam on Sunday morning and arrived in Osan Air Base at noon. And both South Korea and U.S. military officials say that the bomber was equipped with nuclear missiles and bunker buster bombs, which are capable of targeting North Korea's underground facilities.
B-52 missions reinforce the U.S. commitment to the security of our allies and partners and demonstrate one of the many alliance capabilities available for the defense of the Republic of Korea.
The bomber was accompanied by 2 South Korean F-15Ks and 2 U.S. F-16s and flew over Osan before returning to Guam. Now, it only takes 4 hours for the bomber to get to the Korean Peninsula from his home base in Guam, and the B-52 is capable of bombing targets that are 3,000 kilometers away. Now, the deployment was arranged as part of the nuclear umbrella the U.S. provides to its Northeast Asian ally. The statement says the deployment is to warn North Korea that South Korea and the U.S. are prepared to retaliate if the North conducts any additional provocations. And the 2 allies are also said to plan to take further military counteractions down the road in the wake of the North Korean nuclear test. Now, Seoul-based Yonhap News reports that could include an additional deployment of the nuclear-powered USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier, which is currently based in Japan, and F-22 Raptor stealth fighter jets.
More big guns to come. Well, Hyun-bin, I also hear that the Korea's defense chief paid a visit to South Korea's missile command yesterday. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the South Korean Defense Minister Han Min-gu visited the missile command on Saturday and called on the troops to retaliate speedily and accurately without hesitation if North Korea tries to provoke once again. Now, Han's visit is part of a series of military counteractions South Korea has taken after the North's nuclear test. Now, South Korea resumed its anti-North loudspeakers broadcast along the inter-Korean border on Friday, prompting North Korea to resume its own loudspeaker broadcast later in the day. Now, Han said the missile command gives the South Korean people confidence and strikes fear in South Korea's enemies, adding that it will become a core strike unit of the kill chain system. Now, the missile unit is in charge of countering North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. Back to you.
All right, thanks for that, Hyunbin. Moving on, South Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se has reiterated the consequences Pyongyang faces for its latest provocative act. On Sunday, during an appearance on Korean broadcaster KBS, Yoon said countermeasures against the regime will be taken not just by Seoul, but by the UN, China, and the international community. On Friday, Yoon and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi agreed to bring about a resumption of the talks on the denuclearization of North Korea. The Korean Foreign Affairs chief said this is an important turning point in testing the global community's collective will to deal with a common security challenge. He added Seoul will focus on ways to hit the North where it hurts, and that high-level talks with the U.S. and Japan on the matter will be held soon. And over in Japan, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has vowed a strong response to North Korea's latest nuclear test. During a TV appearance on NHK on Sunday, Abe said he has ordered a thorough review of the most effective response against the regime, including closer cooperation with the U.S. and coordinated efforts with the international community. The Japanese leader also said he would continue to engage in dialogue with the North regarding the abduction of Japanese nationals. He also briefly mentioned the ongoing tussle over a statue that symbolizes the Korean victims of Japan's wartime sexual slavery, saying he has faith South Korea will make the right choice. Japan wants the statue removed. South Korea says it can't order its removal because it was installed by civic groups. A Japanese media outlet has once again called into question UNESCO's inscription of the Nanjing massacre to its Memory of the World program. Japan's Sankei Shimbun reported Sunday the evidence submitted by China does not meet UNESCO standards, and many Japanese scholars have deemed it invalid. Since the official inscription of the Nanjing massacre in October last year, Japan has continued to criticize it and criticized the UN body, saying it registered documents submitted by China without allowing Japan to access them for verification. The two countries disagree on how many Chinese civilians and soldiers were killed by the Japanese military following the 1937 capture of Nanking, now known as Nanjing. Tokyo says it's 200,000, while Beijing says it's over 300,000. Shifting gears now, major foreign investment banks have lowered their growth forecast for the Korean economy. According to the Korea Center for International Finance, 6 investment banks are predicting Asia's fourth largest economy will grow at 2.6% this year. That's down 0.8% from their earlier projection of 3.4%. Morgan Stanley's projection was the lowest at 2.2%. The investment banks cited slow exports and an aging population as some of the reasons for the downward revision. The Bank of Korea is scheduled to announce its forecast for this year next week. The first trading session of the year is usually characterized by optimism. That wasn't the case this time, with more than $4 trillion wiped off the global market cap in the first week of trading, the worst performance in 4.5 years. Kim Min-ji has more on the market turmoil around the world.
It wasn't a good start to the year for the global stock market, with China's system-wide circuit breaker pulling the plug on trading twice in just a week, coupled with growing geopolitical tensions in the form of North Korea's latest provocation and unrest in the Middle East. Shockwaves were felt across the globe. According to Bloomberg, the global market cap stood at over $64.4 trillion on the 3rd of January. But in just 5 days of trading, the figure fell almost 7%, slashing the figure down by over $4 trillion. China posted the biggest losses, shedding nearly 14%, with about $990 billion disappearing. The U.S., which makes up 40% of the global market cap, lost 5.5%. Losses were also pronounced in Europe, with Germany tumbling more than 7% and the UK 6.5%. Back in Asia, Korea shed almost 5% and Japan 4%. This is the market's worst performance since the first week of August in 2011, when global shares fell nearly 8%. The trigger then was the U.S. after Standard & Poor's downgraded Washington's credit rating from AAA to AA+. Looking ahead, with lingering global uncertainties piling up, analysts expect another week of market turmoil to rattle investors. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Korea's consumer electronics giant Samsung and LG have solidified their positions as market leaders at this year's Consumer Electronics Show. Samsung has picked up 38 innovation awards, including the Best of Innovations Award for its latest smart TV, along with more than 100 awards in key categories including home appliances, mobile tech, and more. LG bagged more than 50 awards, including Best TV Products for its LG Signature TV, which it won for the second year in a row. Elsewhere around the world, the repercussions of the ongoing migrant crisis. Germans in Cologne came out in droves this weekend to protest their country's migrant policy after the wave of attacks in their city on New Year's Eve. Riot police broke up the demonstrations, but the growing tensions there is not expected to let up anytime soon. For the full story, let's turn to EG1.
Angry Germans in Cologne protested their country's asylum policy on Saturday after the sexual assaults on women on New Year's Eve. According to the BBC, about 1,700 people, some of whom support Pegida, a far-right group that opposes the immigration of Muslims from the Middle East, participated in the protests. Much of the criticism was aimed at German leader Angela Merkel for her policy of welcoming over 1 million migrants and refugees to the country last year. Protesters chanted "Merkel must go" and waved the German flag. As the demonstrators grew more violent, throwing beer bottles, firecrackers, and stones at officers, the Cologne police responded with tear gas and water cannons to disperse them. Several officers and a journalist were injured in the process. The protests come on the back of the New Year's Eve assault, in which about 120 women have reported having been sexually assaulted and mugged by groups of men on New Year's Eve. Many of the 31 suspects charged are from North Africa or Middle Eastern countries, and 18 were asylum seekers. As the anti-migrant protest continued, counter-demonstrators held a protest against Pegida, with about 1,300 people in attendance and some shouting Nazis out. The German chancellor has since proposed policies to make it easier to deport asylum seekers who have committed crimes, but with the growing public unrest, the tension in Germany is not likely to let up anytime soon. 이지원, Arirang News.
That's all from us for now. As always, thank you for watching.